obviously you guys all, I met all of you guys for the first time when I first came into the school as a visitor and performed poetry, and since then I'm now a part of the school doing poetry. So, you know, thanks for making me look good and being so receptive when I did come in. I'm going to be performing another poetry today, and I just want to contextualize it a little bit. I don't know, a show of hands if you don't mind. How many of you have seen the poem that I put on LDE's Instagram? Wow, okay. How many actually know that LDE have an Instagram? Okay, alright, so all of you go follow it, because it's lots of fun. But basically, in that poem, which I'm not going to do today, I'm going to do another one, I spoke about how poetry kind of evolved in my life, and it started off from a place where I just wrote poetry to help myself and articulate things that I was going through that I felt I couldn't speak to with other people, and then how eventually those same poems began to help other people, and then I actually began to write to help other people then rather than just to write to work out what's going on through my mind. So I want to share a poem, and I would say it's the first spoken word I actually ever wrote, and I wrote it when I was in year 12, so I would have been 16 or 17, so I thought it would be fitting to share that with you. And I guess when I wrote this poem, I was just beginning my journey with poetry, and poetry to me was somebody and something I could go to when I felt like there was no one else I could go to. So this poem's called Speak Your Pain. I grew up with my father missing. He was distant from the beginning of my adolescence. And I taught myself not to miss him, but in that bitter lesson came a pain that was testing. And I hadn't revised for the game of life, nor did I have that guide. Don't get me wrong, I had guys, but not the guys. So when things began to drop, and my heart began to shoot up, I improvised a lot of stuff. The script was writing itself, the plot developing well, but it seemed that like DJ Khaled listening to Wild Thoughts, I had played myself, because I didn't see the role that bottling up emotions had on my mental health. I wanted to be strong like my big bro, get involved, carrying the weight of my mum's broken soul, the beautiful woman who labored in the soil where I have grown, and I'm still growing. But at that stage, I wasn't grown at all. Big bro used to say, remember your age, you're still small. And although his words I had always heard, heeded and observed, them particular words, they never went through. Because how can you be small when you see your own mum looking up to you? And when she cries, you feel responsible. So you can't cry because right now she's holding on to you. Arms wrapped tight, asking wider. Man, she gave her life, had to cheat and lie, and you don't have the answers, so you just sigh, reply something, a quick sentence, mumbling as you feel the urge to burst, become stronger at every word you speak, so you sneak off to the toilet where you can let the pain rain down your cheek. Wipe it quickly. Check the mirror to make sure your eyes ain't looking watery, then go back downstairs to try comfort your mum. Face stiff and stripped bare of emotion and uncertainty, because now you bring closure and protection. And mum's future is heading in whatever place you're directing it, whether you're ready to be on set just yet, the shots, now you're calling them. See, I tried to be someone whom she could rely, but no matter how hard I tried that night, I still heard her cry. The pain never left her eyes, because when dad went, a piece of mum went with him. And despite my best efforts, there was a void and I couldn't fill it. And in hindsight, looking back, I've realized that this unfulfillment had brought a lot of feelings that I tried to suppress and keep a lid on. The resentment I had for my dad was so strong, but the guilt I felt in myself was a lot more. I questioned my value and my self-worth, because I couldn't give the world to the woman who put me on the earth. I couldn't do anything to help or articulate how much I loved her, so eventually I just didn't bother. I'd hear cries at night, and in my bed I'd turn over, wrap the quilt tight, try to ignore them. Every family discussion or serious situation became something I'd distance myself from. The words, I love you, they couldn't escape my tongue. They got trapped in my throat, then faded back down my body past my stone cold heart, a heart that I had made hard in an attempt to guard from receiving more scars that never seemed to fully fade. They've been here for so long, I don't remember any other way. But thank God that he sent a pen my way, and a page where I can rage and let the rage translate from hate to rhymes that I can say to bring help and change. I can spill my pain and heartache into each line and feel the weights that held me so low lift from my mind. As I write, I fight to find a way to brave the night and reach the light, releasing darkness from my life. Speak your pain, because silence has never brought change. Write your pain to work out what's going on in your brain. Release your pain and pave a way for those whose situations may be headed in the same place. Let them learn from your mistakes. Feel empathy's embrace. And in turn, you'll release your own hurt and hate. You see, holding on for so long, it didn't make me strong. And bottling up, it only led to my downfall. So go against the instincts of keeping things in. Find those you love and trust and get talking. I remember the day that I sat on my bed as my best friend sat on the window ledge. He looked at me amazed as I relayed the last few years of my life. I told him everything my dad did, everything I felt and was feeling. And as I spoke my pain, I couldn't help smiling because I felt it leaving, and that feeling was freedom. And if it wasn't for him, right now me and my dad probably wouldn't be speaking. Bitterness would still be ruling my heart and clouding my judgment, and I ain't completely healed. I may never be, but I know now that when I'm down, there's people there for me. So speak your pain, because silence has never brought change. Write your pain to work out what's going on in your brain. Release your pain and watch the wounds turn to scars and the scars slowly fade. Thank you. Obviously I wrote that poem when I was your age, and just like a bit of backstory, my dad left my household when I was around 10 years old. So I was really close with him for the first 10 years of my life, and then obviously after that he left, and our relationship suffered as a result of it. But in all of those 7 years, up until I began using poetry as an outlet and writing it, I felt like I couldn't speak to anybody about it. I felt like I couldn't make that jump and articulate the things I was going through. But it was poetry that first heard the things that I was going through, and that's how poetry kind of first revealed itself to me, you could say. And I'm gonna show you one more video. So it's not a poem. It's not a poem that I'm gonna perform, because I've only ever performed this poem once, and it's in this video. So I'm gonna show you this video, and I wrote this poem. Let's watch this advert first. Beautiful. Okay. So I wrote this poem, and I only ever wanted to perform it once, and that was actually to my dad. And this was 2 years after I wrote the poem that I just performed to you guys, and it kind of shows how my journey with him somewhat developed, because at the point when I wrote the first poem, I couldn't even speak to him. Like I couldn't talk to him at all. But yeah, it's only 3 minutes, so I'll just play it.
I can't save you, but I'm desperate for you to prove you can save yourself. There are times when I felt like how I felt back then, back when we would roll together by the wheels of your BM, and never tire of each other's company. I was your priority, driven to make you proud of me. Then somewhere along the road,